Yo guys, it's Golden Boy here. I've been wanting to discuss one of my previous videos on the channel with the title of Stop Using 123 as Jin's Wall Ender, or the title is something along those lines. But I've been wanting to make a response to that video for quite some time now just because of some of the comments I've been getting in multiple videos. Um, I've been seeing comments, stuff like you haven't gone over the can situation and stuff like that, so I've just really wanted to address that and try and make my argument a little bit more clear why I don't think 123 is a good wall ender. I think it's pretty trash. So hopefully this video will clarify that and you'll like it. So without further ado, let's get started. I'll start by saying what the damages of each wall ender is on Jin. So these are all taken after 9 hit combos into a wall splat. So that's maximum scaling. So the first wall ender, which is a new one, Geyser, I'm going over, does 22 damage and leads good flip over OK. So it does 22 damage in a 9 hit max scaled combo. The next one, Savage Sword, does 19 damage and leaves low to moderate OK. So it's decent damage and meh OK. It leaves. The next one is 3-1 forward 2, which is 18 damage, so meh damage, and it leads. That's the option with the worst OK on Jin. And lastly, 1-2-3, which is 9 damage, which is terrible damage, but we have to take into account 1-2-3 into down 4 is a guaranteed option that adds 8 damage. So this does 17 damage in total, 9 plus 8. So that's a 17 damage wall ender. A point I forgot to say in the first video is 1-2-3. You can only really get this as a wall ender on a close wall splat or a high wall splat. So you won't be able to get this option all the time. So since you'll only really be getting this with a high wall splat, we have to say that Savage Sword actually does 21 damage because you get the jab before it if it's a high wall splat. So Savage Sword actually does 21 damage, Geyser does 22, and 1-2-3 down 4 does 17 damage. So and Geyser functions the same on a high wall splat or a low splat. It's always 22 damage. So that's just worth mentioning before we look into the okizemi situation now. So if I switch sides, the the computer Jin is on. We can start looking at some of the okizemi situations. So the first situation I want to look at is the situation that's to stop you really from pressing. So if I hit play and I duck, you'll do 1-2-3 into forward forward 2 and forward 2 into down 1. So there. So as we can see there, I just decided to film both these options beside each other because they both function the same way. They basically mean that if you press something as the Jin who's got spiked, you will get hit and you will either get wall bounded or you will get wall splatted. Unless if you do a spring kick. But if you do a spring kick, you will still get hit if you do that. So those are the two options to deter you from pressing or ducking when you wake up. Of course, they're both beaten by staying on the ground and doing absolutely nothing or by tech rolling. So these options are definitely worth showing. The next option, which is, if I hit play there, is 1-2-3 into down 2. This option is, it's a decent option. It's 9 damage from the wall ender, and if you land it, it's plus 19 damage, so that does 28 damage altogether. So it hits very hard if you get hit by it, but I'm going to show you some options why I don't like this very much. So if I hit play here, and I spam tech roll, which I completely failed to do there, I didn't even move, there. So if you spam tech roll, you will always avoid this option unless if the angle's a bit funny, but a majority of the time you will avoid this just by tech rolling. And it's quite difficult because you need to get a near frame perfect tech roll, for example, the computers, they will always tech roll this option because they always do a frame perfect tech roll. They tech roll on frame 1. So as a human, when you're doing this, you need to spam tech roll. And that's why you see pro players in matches, they're absolutely mashing their controllers or their pads or their fighting sticks on Oki situations because a couple getting a frame perfect tech roll it's or a fast tech roll it's so avoids so many more options than a slow one. So just if you're gonna avoid this option, you need to spam tech roll. And another option to beat it as well is spring kick. So it's the same thing. You need to absolutely spam it, which is I've got potato fingers, so I'm bad at doing it. But it's the same way. Sorry, I'm absolutely failing it. There we go. So I got it there. So I spammed it fast enough there. So as long as you just mash either tech roll or spring kick, you will beat the down 2 option every time. So that's why I think it's a bit because you're beating it with tech roll still, and even a spring kick will punish him for trying to do it. So he's basically taking. He's only got 9 damage for his wall ender, and you've just avoided the second hit, or you've actually punished him for trying to do it. So the last option to go over, which is the can option here, is I will immediately tech roll here. And that's what the can option is designed to be. So if I tech roll, can hits me, and I take 19 damage. So that's a 28 damage wall ender. So that again, that's quite a lot of damage to take if you get hit by it. But what I'm trying to say here is why I don't think this is a very good option, is good players will consistently try and tech roll this. So what will happen is you'll either stay safe as the Jin and you'll do down 4, and we've been over that. If you're using down 4 to stay safe, you're losing damage than just doing a normal wall ender. But if you're going to start using can, this is kind of the issue with using can I find here. So it's a bit tricky to do, but I'll try and demonstrate it. So I almost got it there. So you can always punish it with a get up kick, but I'm trying to show even here. There. If the person stays down and just does a launcher, I mean, and they guess right, you're going to get launched. And there's even another way you can launch it as well, if I can try and replicate, which is a bit weird. Sorry, I did it too fast there. Too fast again. It's a bit tricky this way, but it's another way to be it. So I want to show it, yeah, like that. So if you stand up actually like in between the kicks, which is very timing specific, but I'm doing it too fast again. I'll try and get it this time. If not, one more time. Oh. Too fast again. Ugh. I really want to show it, so ugh. Well, I kind of did it there. When I stood up there and blocked it, I mean, can's minus 18, so you get the point. I'm not going to just keep trying it forever, because I'm getting pretty cursed luck at the moment. But anyway, so the point is, you can stay on the ground and completely avoid the can, get up and hop kick them and launch them. And if you can even do, you don't have to always launch. You can just stand up and do something like a 2-4 like this, or you can just do a get up kick as well. That will punish it as well. But it's launchable, and you can stand up in between it, even though it's a bit tricky, block it, and actually get a minus 18 punish on the can. So that's why I really don't like this situation, because what you really should be doing as the Jin is you should always be spamming tech roll in this situation, because if he's done a down 4, that's unavoidable anyway, and that he's just sacrificed damage for doing the down 4, so that's a win for you. And if you're spamming tech roll, you're avoiding the punch on the ground, and you're also avoiding by pressing any buttons and getting wall splatted. If they start doing can, that's the thing. You want to make them start using can, because if they start canning, you can do stuff like event tech roll every time, until they just start using can a lot, and then you can just stay down one time, get up and launch them for doing can, and that's like a round winning mistake. They say that could lose them the entire round, them going for that can. So you basically want to punish them for doing that option, and it's a option you can punish very heavily if you guess it right. So you're basically you want to avoid the other situations, and then you want to try and punish them for doing can. And like you say, the only option you're really eating here by always tech rolling is you're always risking eating a can. But if you're avoiding the other two options, let's say he does a forward two, or he does a down two, and you avoid that, he's lost 19 damage for whiffing that. He's only got a 9 damage wall ender. So half the time he's going to be getting a 9 damage wall ender, which is completely garbage. And the one time you tech roll and he does can, he'll get a little bit more damage that specific time. But in the long run, he's losing so much damage by going for that wall ender if you're responding to the situations correctly. And a final thing I do want to say about this situation, spring kick's actually not that bad an option, because if you see here, if you go for a spring kick, you see that instead of the I get counter hit here, but instead of the can doing 19 damage, since you're considered airborne, it does scale damage, so it only does 14. So if you do a spring kick, you're gonna take less damage, so you only take around 25 damage. So that's only a tiny bit more than an optimal wall ender. So let's say the Jin literally does 1, 2, 3, stands and does nothing, and then like punishes you and wall splats your spring kick. Spring kick's actually a decent option to do as well. And then as we see, spring kick beats the punching down. You only take a little bit more damage if they do go for can, and if they do one of these options as well, it's the exact same thing as well. Again, see, so if you spring kick there, that forward two, it only did 10 damage. So you took 9 damage from the wall ender, and then you only took 10 damage from getting hit by the forward two since you were spring kicking. So that does only 19 damage, which is the same as Savage Sword. So also spring kick is a very valid option doing here in this OK situation, because you're basically you're risking taking normal damage or only a little bit more, and the reward is that you hit him and you get out of the situation completely. So spring kick is also a decently strong option to do in this situation, I have to mention. So okizemi wise, though, that is the mix up with 1, 2, 3. So if I switch sides again, so why Geyser? If you're going for okizemi, actually I'll switch back again because I wanted to show this as well. My option is, if you're that concerned with wall positioning, why don't you just do Savage Sword and do your okizemi options off Savage Sword? Because you do get a 50-50 off Savage Sword. It isn't an extremely strong one, but it's more value if you listen to what I'm saying. So I'll first show the first option, which is this one. So if you don't immediately tech roll and you stay grounded, that option will hit you there. And if you tech roll too early, if he delays the down one, the tech roll, you actually will get hit if you tech roll on wake up. So as you can see, that option, unless if you get up blocking low, this option's going to hit you every time. And obviously a down one is 11 damage. And a way you can kind of mix that up is if you do... Sorry, if I duck. You can do an immediate forward two. So let's say I tech roll and get up blocking low. You see, that forward two will hit you. Like that. And also, this option, same with down 4, it beats get up kicks as well. So I'll try and do a get up kick as well. So actually, I actually can't get a get up kick there. Don't know why. Oh, there, it's because I was actually tech rolling with that get up kick instead of getting a get up kick. But anyway, forward forward 2 and down 4, an immediate one will beat any get up option on the ground. It'll even beat a spring kick. So yeah, like that. So you can see there, it even beats the spring kick. So if you're so concerned about the wall positioning, why don't you just Savage Sword, do a down 4 or forward forward 2? Down 4 is only -11 on block, so you'll get punished, -12, sorry, but you'll get punished, but you can always just mix that up with forward forward 2, you know, and if the forward forward 2 hits, you're going to get an extra 20 damage on your, either if it's a high wall splat, a 21 damage wall ender, or a 19 damage wall ender. So you end up getting like 39 damage gain compared to the risk you take with doing something like a 1-2-3 can, which is only 28 damage. And even if you hit the down 4, if they stay on the ground, that's still 19 or 21 plus 8, and it's 11 damage if they tech roll and it hits them. So you're still just getting like over 30 damage by doing Savage Sword and taking your okizemi situation off Savage Sword in the first place, and you're keeping your positioning. And so that's a point I really needed to make with Savage Sword, is that if you're that concerned about positioning, just Savage Sword and take your OK game off that. Don't risk losing so much damage just to get a tiny bit more with 1-2-3. It's just not worth it in the long run. Of course, there may be like one situation that it might be useful, as in, for example, you're at like round this like 21 damage won't kill them, but if you get 1-2-3 can and that they'll die from that 28 damage, maybe that's one situation where the risk is worth taking. But almost all the time you just want to be doing one of the other ones. And like I said, you could still take that 21 damage and still take your forward 2 or your down 4 on your OK anyway and kill with that hit as well, if that makes sense. And lastly, just going a little bit over Geyser. The thing that makes Geyser kind of really busted, and this is why they nerfed this move in season 4, because Jin would legitimately like have like the best wall ender or one of the best wall enders in the game if they didn't nerf this. Because the crazy thing with Geyser is that a forward dash, forward 4 always is an option select. It beats absolutely everything. This is why they nerfed this from +4 to 0 this season. Because if they stay on the ground after Geyser, forward 4 hits them and they take 19 damage on the ground because of their positioning, and they're still face down in a horrendous position. And if they, let's say they tech roll and they get up and block, well, they block mid. Well, they've blocked it correctly, but they're still 0 at the wall if they tech roll. You have a little bit worse positioning, but you're still going to be neutral, and they're going to be slightly more to the wall. And if they duck, well, you're +8, and they're left in crouch. So if they get tech roll and duck, and this is why lows after Geyser are really, really powerful, because if you just condition with this move here, it just beats everything. So you're basically just telling them, I'm taking a 22 damage wall ender, and you have to block mid after this. And if you don't, you're going to take another 19 damage. So you condition them with that, and that makes really strong lows. Like, for example, if we set the bot to tech roll here, which I need to put like this, side roll left. So yeah, if we do something like that, so we've conditioned them with that, sorry, that was not Hell Sweep. You can just do something like this, and this is really powerful because they're kind of forced to just block mid because forward 4 is just such a good option select. Beats staying on the ground, beats getting up blocking low, so you're just kind of forcing them to block mid after this situation if you do that, and then that just means Geyser has very good value lows after. So just any low like that's just really powerful to do after it. And another thing with Geyser is you don't have to take really any risks. Like you say forward 4 is like risk free, and you don't have to go for your launching low. You can just dash up, do a down 4, dash up, do a down forward 1. So that's, I mean, and if you get any one of these hits after Geyser, like you say, 22 damage wall ender plus 19, that's like a 40 damage. That's 40 damage you get for them guessing wrong in this OK situation. So it's just so much more value if you guess correct if you go for Geyser, and their options are just their options are legitimately just two things: I stay down or I tech roll, and each one is just beating by forward 4. You're just having you're such a strong situation okizemi wise. They're pretty much just fucked to put it mildly. So, and then since they're tech rolling, they can't disrespect. They have no way to disrespect you. They have to just eat a 50-50 if they tech roll. So you can legitimately just hell sweep after it, or forward 3. And if they guess wrong, well, you've just fully launched them for another 50 to 70 damage. So that's what I mean. If you want okizemi, do Savage Sword. Geyser. Geyser is just so much more value if you guess right, and it's just a more damage, more value if you guess wrong. You're not going to get punished if you guess wrong in Geyser if you're doing forward 4. You're just going to get put at +0 in a worse position. But if you guess wrong with 1, 2, 3, you're either losing a crap ton of damage, you're only getting a 9 damage wall ender, or you may even get launched if you do something like Can. So Geyser's just all around just the better option in every way. I can't see a way 1, 2, 3 is better. Maybe apart from wall positioning. But like we said, we went over earlier in this video. If you want wall position, just do Savage Sword and do a down 4 or forward. If I don't jump there, forward 2. Take your 50-50 in a better scenario. Well, it's not really a true 50-50. It's a 33-33-33, but just take the more consistent option. You're always going to get that 20 damage from Savage Sword, and you might get an extra 10 damage with the next hit if you guess right, or 20 if it's a forward 2. So I hope that kind of describes why I think Savage Sword and Geyser are just a better wall ender than 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is niche, as in that you may find one scenario that it might do better than the other two wall enders, but 99% of the time you're going to be wanting to do Savage Sword or Geyser. They're just so much more value, and they'll just make your gameplay a lot better. So I hope that clarified things a little bit more, and thank you for watching this video, and take care.